Berlin. Saturday night. Hannah just wanted to have fun, but none of her friends wanted to go out that night, almost as if they knew what was going to happen, almost as if they knew something would go wrong. It shouldn't be anything bad, Hannah thought, as she finished getting ready to go to her favorite bar. 2 a.m. Going out alone wasn't such a bad idea after all, was it? Hannah was having a great time. She was drunk, but nothing out of the ordinary, but she made a mistake. She went to the bathroom, leaving her drink on the table. In a society without perversion, this wouldn't be a problem, but that's not the case. In 2025, evil is everywhere, even in the innocent sip of a drink. A spiked one, of course. Hannah went back and took a sip. The worst was about to happen. Hannah isn't an isolated case. Hannah is just another victim of something commonplace.
In Western Europe, there is a pattern that repeats with clinical precision. People who lose willpower, memory, and control without remembering how it happened. They try to reconstruct the night. They arrive at the hospital, they ask for tests, and the result is always the same. Negative. Not because nothing happened, but because the substances disappear before the system can detect them. That void between what is felt and what science manages to capture has sustained chemical submission for decades. The drugs most commonly used in this context are neither exotic nor difficult to obtain. They are, for the most part, benzodiazepines such as alprazolam, clonazepam, lorazepam, or diazepam. Legal medications prescribed for anxiety, insomnia, or epilepsy. The problem is not their existence, but their combination of effects, sedation, disinhibition, and anterograde amnesia that erases recent memories. The second pillar is GHB and its industrial shadow, GBL. GHB is a central nervous system depressant controlled by law, but GBL is not. It is a solvent used massively in European industries. It cleans metals, removes paint, degreases machinery, and the human body converts it directly into GHB. It is legal, accessible, and cheap. This regulatory asymmetry allows it to circulate silently throughout Europe. A bottle labeled industrial cleaner can, with very little effort, become a tool for chemical submission. And detection is almost impossible. 6 hours in blood, 12 in urine. Not much more. Why the market remains open? GBL is not banned because its industrial use is worth millions. The companies that use it belong to sectors no one wants to slow down: automotive, metallurgy, cleaning, manufacturing. Regulating it like GHB would imply an enormous economic cost. That is the main reason why the market has never been fully closed. This legal window generates a gray circuit that is difficult to trace. In customs documents, it may appear as cleaner, wheel cleaner, paint remover. Drums of 20 or 30 liters arrive constantly at European ports, and no one can tell which one will go to a factory and which one will end up fragmented into unlabeled bottles. Thus, a parallel route emerges: industrial GBL that is divided and sold as a cosmetic, as hair fixer, or as a premium cleaning product. Changing the label is enough to erase any trace. The diversion: how the substances reach the wrong hands. Benzodiazepines do not come from clandestine laboratories. They come from the healthcare system. The cracks in the legal circuit are multiple. In Germany and France, there are documented cases of doctors who sell prescriptions to intermediaries. 20, 50 euros per prescription. A quiet business that allows the accumulation of hundreds of pills without the need for real patients. In the Netherlands, some pharmacies have been flagged for unregistered sales, especially of lorazepam and flunitrazepam in previous years. It is not always organized mafias. It is enough for an employee to look the other way. In hospitals and care homes, another phenomenon occurs: microdiversion. Assistants who extract doses intended for vulnerable patients and resell them on digital channels. 1 pill a day over months becomes a considerable amount in the black market. And then there is the internet. On Telegram, Discord, and forums like Blue Light or Drugs Forum, benzodiazepines circulate under coded names: Blues, Liquid Calm, KO drops. Users discuss origin, potency, counterfeits, and shipping methods. In parallel, GBL appears in unbranded bottles, sold as if it were a simple cosmetic. The role of ports, the logistics that sustain everything. The major European ports, Rotterdam, Hamburg, Antwerp, Algeciras, Valencia, handle immense volumes. Inspection capacity never reaches the totality of the flow. That is the reason diversions work, not due to criminal omnipotence, but due to logistical saturation. Reports indicate isolated corruption, security guards who provide information, dock workers who allow containers to be segmented, transporters who move goods without checking. It is not about controlling an entire port, but about having 2 or 3 strategic people who ensure that a drum of GBL goes unnoticed. The impossible detection. When a person suffers chemical submission, the institutional reaction is almost always the same: alcohol. The appearance justifies it. The confusion, the loss of motor control, the lack of memory, everything fits a severe intoxication. But in many cases, it is not. The problem is that medical attention is not structured to preserve evidence. The patient is stabilized, time goes by, and when the moment of testing arrives, nothing remains. Metabolized GHB, benzodiazepines outside the detection range, clothes changed, time lost. This cycle repeats over and over. And meanwhile, official figures show a surprisingly low number of cases. That contrast feeds what comes next. The theories that circulate. When a phenomenon exists but cannot be proven, theories arise as a natural consequence. They are not a whim. They grow out of the gap left open by the system. One of the most widespread is that of a medical or pharmaceutical mafia. According to this narrative, doctors, sales representatives, and healthcare staff form small circuits diverting benzodiazepines into the black market. Confirmed cases of medical corruption give this theory fertile ground. Another theory points to European ports and the infiltration of criminal groups, especially Italian networks such as the 'Ndrangheta. The idea is not that they control an entire port, but that they manage key individuals who allow goods to move without inspections. The theory of deliberate GBL repackaging also circulates. According to this narrative, major distributors take advantage of the legal loophole to place industrial GBL in the retail market disguised as cosmetic products, fully aware of where it will end up. In the nightlife environment, there are theories of coordinated attacks, especially in festivals in the Netherlands, where simultaneous collapses have been reported that some interpret as mass-adulterated drinks. In France, the wave of needle spiking opened another narrative, the idea of aggressors testing undetectable microdoses to spread fear in nightlife spaces. And then there are theories about institutional minimization, administrations that, according to many citizens, downplay the severity of the phenomenon to protect tourism, nightlife, and public image. Every time a hospital dismisses a case due to lack of evidence, this theory strengthens. Chemical submission in Europe does not persist by accident. It persists because it is sustained by an architecture that is far too convenient for those who benefit from it. A pharmaceutical market that produces more than it needs, an industrial solvent turned into a drug simply by coming into contact with the human body, saturated ports where 1 drum more or 1 drum less changes nothing, and a healthcare system that, by design, always arrives late. Meanwhile, the companies that depend on GBL to move millions of euros a year have never seen their supply chain threatened. Restrictions advance with surgical slowness, never fast enough to affect the industry, but never slow enough to openly acknowledge the problem. Regulation happens just enough to claim something was regulated, and nothing more. And in that strange balance between economy, logistics, and public health appear the questions no one wants to answer. Is it truly impossible to control the diversion? Or is it simply not a priority? Who loses if GBL is genuinely restricted? And who gains by keeping the border blurry between industrial chemical and submission drug? No grand conspiracies are needed to explain why this phenomenon keeps growing. It is enough to observe who has something to lose if the gaps are closed, and who benefits when substances circulate without traceability. Everything else, the theories, the rumors, the narratives, grows on its own, fed by every case without proof, every negative test, and every institutional silence. Perhaps in the end, the question is not why chemical submission happens, but why it seems so convenient for it to keep happening. and why so many systems appear more comfortable preserving doubt than guaranteeing safety.